Hi, and welcome to another Life Mastery Show. So, Thursday, midday in Australia, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this next hour with you as I do every Thursday. So, for those that do not know me, my name is Adrian Hanks, and I'm here on the Gold Coast. And I work as a psychotherapist and counselor and as a life mastery expert. And my forte is to help people to get on track and stay on track and get even more out of life. Hello, Linda. Love it when people pop up on the messages. So this is what this show is all about. It's about engaging with you because you are the show. It's about you bringing what you need on the show in terms of anything towards with life mastery. So please, please, please do ask your questions. And what I ask of you, hey Nettie, hi. What I ask of you is please ask your questions in a very clear and precise way. Because the more clarity you have in your question, the more clarity I can have with my answers. And just for the record, I'm not doing any psychic work today. I'm not bringing in any messages from the other side. This is purely about me giving you some support, some insights, some information on how to get you on track and help you to keep you on track. Hello, Sherry, as well. It's great to see these names popping up, and Sarah's watching as well. So please do ask a question on anything life mastery. And what I mean by that is anything physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, relationship, sexual, intimate, vocational. If there's anything in your life where you're feeling a little bit stuck right now and you want some support or you have a question, then please do ask away by typing in on the screen. Remember, this is public, so only share what you want publicly as well. If you want to do anything a bit more private, you can contact me and have a free 30-minute consultation. That's right, a free 30-minute consultation with me to ascertain where you are in life right now and to see if I'm the right person to work with you, either directly one-on-one or to place you in one of my programs. The best way to do that is go to my website, adrianhanks.com. So please do check that out. So are there any questions coming from anybody? Has anybody got anything? I love the little love hearts and the little things popping up on the screen. It makes it really live and lovely. But this is about you. This is about you asking questions to keep the show going so that you can ask something about helping me to support you on your life journey. We had some great conversations last week on here, as we have on every other week. So please do ask away. See if anything comes up here. If not, I can fill the space for a little while until we get the show going. But remember, one thing I do say is, if you find the courage to ask a question about something that's going on for you, you can guarantee that somebody else listening in will actually get something from that too. Because from all the years of work I've been doing in this space, what I really know is that when somebody asks a question, it's not just for themselves. There's actually a collective, and other people get something from that question too, and from that response too. So if you have the courage to ask something, remember, you will be helping others too by asking that question, because it will be a question for others as well, who maybe don't quite have the courage to ask that question, or perhaps they don't want to share it publicly. So it does help other people when you ask the question too. So just a little bit about myself while I'm waiting for a question to pop up is, I'm an author of a book, Where Am I Right Now? And it's a personal development book. I'm also an author of several other books, and run lots of workshops and programs, and have some online programs and things too. So we've got some things coming up here. Hey, so what have we got here? So Nettie, lol, the clock ticking in the silence. Yeah, but I love silence, and I love talking as well, Nettie. So particularly in meditation, I love that silent space. I really don't mind the silence, because it gives me a chance to just reflect on what I want to bring anyway. But Linda, how do you choose a new vocation? Absolutely great question, Linda. Look, I had somebody here today. I've got a consultation room that I use just in the homing complex. I live here on the Gold Coast, and I've got a space there. And we went down there yesterday afternoon, and this man came along. He's 63 years old, and He wants to do something. He's not quite sure of where he wants to go in terms of his vocation or his spiritual calling. So we spent 45 minutes together yesterday, and I did a 4-step process with him, and I really got him clear on what his vocation was in 45 minutes. And really that's as long as it takes, because we all know what our vocation is. Really, really we do. Inside our soul, we know that our soul knows exactly what we should be doing. And then we just have to catch up with the soul. We have to answer the soul's calling. And I help people on that. So Linda, if you want some support on that, very happy. Go to my website, adrianhanks.com. Let's book in for that 30-minute consultation. Let's get things moving along for you. And I'll be very happy to help you find your vocation, because it's very important. Because for me, your vocation is your spiritual calling. The two are interlinked. And I do my work. I have my calling. I've had my calling for many, 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 many years, a few decades now. And it's my vocation, but it's also my spiritual calling or my spiritual duty to bring that to the planet. So for me, it's really important because it is part of my spiritual work, is my vocation. So if I can help you on that, Linda, we can do that. It's a 4-step process of just going through and going, right, what do you really want to do? And that's what we have to ascertain first. And we make that a bit generic, and then we bring it down and down and down and down until you're really clear of the statement of I am. And the man I worked with yesterday, we spoke a little bit, and in the end, his statement was, I am a spiritual leader and a spiritual teacher. So now we have to just allow him to own that space, and then we have to create that space, and we have to decide what is he going to teach, what is it he's going to lead in. So he's got the umbrella, he's got the image, so now we have to fill that image with the actual delivery of what he wants to deliver on the planet. So we're going to work together to do that. So quite exciting. So I hope that helps, Linda. But do please contact me if you want a bit more support. If you want a further question, please ask on here, and I'll go down the rabbit hole a bit deeper with you. So Pam, as a healer, how do you cleanse yourself after working with individuals looking for ideas? Great question, Pam. The first thing is before you go into a session, before you work with somebody, do a process to begin with. Like clear yourself and make sure you have a very clear, healthy boundary in place before you step into that space. Look, I'm a massage therapist as well. I'm a counsellor and psychotherapist and work with people in that healing space. And I'm really clear that I do not take on other people's things. I just don't take on their stuff. And if it does come in, if I get triggered, if I take on some of their energy, afterwards, I just take 5 minutes out after the session and I do a release process. Usually I just do a bit of a shake off, get rid of it, and then I bring myself back to me. I make sure I'm full of me. And when I'm full of me, then I know there's nobody else energy in there. So that's what I do. If I lose myself, I just make sure I bring me back in and I fill every fibre of my being with me, so there's no space for anybody or any other energy in there. So yeah, it's a process of being prepared before you go in and then just cleaning up a little bit afterwards. And if you want to do a bit of smudging or something, or some singing or some chanting, absolutely do that to bring yourself back in. But for me, it's just about bringing Adrian, or what I call Grandmaster Adrian, back into my being. I got triggered or I took on some energy. I'm just going to shake it off. I'm going to get it out there. And that's all I do. I don't make a big fuss about it. I just shake it off and bring myself back. So just try that one, Pam. Prepare yourself before you go in so you're clear, so you're not going to take on the energy. And then if some does come in, and sometimes it does, just afterwards, just give it a good shake, stand up, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off, bring yourself back in, and then just check in again. Is there still some energy in there? If there is, do the process again. And you'll find after a couple of times, you'll get really used to doing that. So just a very quick way to do it. You don't need to go into anything too esoteric about it. It's just a very practical process. So I hope that helps, Pam. And Awina, beautiful, mine too. I have my calling and I'm working on this as we speak. Fantastic. It's great to be working on our calling or our spiritual journey. It's all part of the journey. And what I find is the more clear and conscious we are of the journey, the better health we're in. We're conscious of it. Because there's a saying with the African Sangomas. I spend a lot of time in Africa, and when I spend time there, I do see Sangomas occasionally, and they'll say, if you go to a Sangoma and you're sick, they're really clear. They just say, get on your spiritual or your vocational path and it'll stop some of the sickness. And I really believe in that, because I really get sick. because I'm really clear on my vocation, really clear on my path, really clear about my energy fields, really clear about my boundaries. So just holding that space for oneself is just a great thing. It's a good high energy place, as long as you're not taking on other people's energy in that process and you're staying true to your vocation or your spiritual path. So thanks for the questions. Thanks for the connections on here. It's fantastic. So keep it flowing. Are there any more questions on there for me today? And as Nettie said, that beautiful silence. I'll have a drink while I'm waiting in the silence. A couple of things I'll share a little bit while I'm waiting for something else to pop up on the screen is I love to keep my mind active, so I'm always continually studying. I've always got something to do in terms of my study, and I love reading spiritual text. And I wrote an article for the Global Healing Exchange. If you don't know that, just type that in as well. I'm a regular contributor to the magazine for Global Healing Exchange, and we're writing something for the next article on connection, and I'm writing about the connection to self and the connection to our spiritual beings. And one of the books I love to study is Our Spiritual Companions, which gives a great insight into all the different hierarchies of the spiritual realm and which beings are in those realms, from the angels to the archangels, all the way up to the Elohim, the top of the order. And just in that study, in that space of dropping into that, is just been beautiful this week. So I'm revisiting this book again for probably about the fourth time in 20 years. I've had this book quite a long time, Spiritual Companions, and it's just a lovely book to study. The other book I'm studying at the moment is Karmic Relationships by Rudolf Steiner. And for those of you that don't know, Rudolf Steiner is my main teacher. I've been studying under the inspirations of Steiner now for over 25 years, and follow the anthroposophical path and the Rosicrucian path, and that's the spiritual path I follow. And such insight and depth to that work from Rudolf Steiner. So I really love that work. If you go to my website, adrianhanks.com, you can just flip through some of those pages in there and you'll see some of the work on anthroposophy and my connection to that as well. So look, anybody else in there have a question? Let's see if we can get this rolling. Otherwise, I may ask you a question to get you going as well. My question for you probably would be, how is your meditation going? Because for me, one of the biggest aspects of being centered and staying on one's path is to get into that practice of meditation and finding the meditation that really suits you. So I do a lot of meditation teaching. I'm actually a trained meditation teacher. I trained with a lovely man called Ian Gawler in Victoria, who ran the Gawler Foundation. I worked there with Ian for 3.5 years, and it's a cancer retreat centre where people go to heal themselves from cancer, and there are also health and well-being retreats there as well as cancer. And just having Ian there and others teaching me the meditation training was fantastic. And what I've learned from that is everybody has a different style of meditation. So it's pointless trying to force a meditation upon somebody. We have to find our own style. Our time, whether that's morning, afternoon or evening, the length of time and the type of meditation. For some people it's body meditation. For others it's guided meditation. For others it's mindfulness. There's many forms of meditation. And I think it's really important to find one's own meditation style, because you don't want your meditation to be difficult to begin with. Otherwise, it's easy to give up. So if you find one that resonates and one that's a little bit easy, you're more likely to meditate every single day. And I have a meditation that was given to me 20 years ago now, and it's my daily meditation. And I meditate on that every single day, have done for over 20 years. And then I have several other meditations I use as well. One of them being the chakra meditation. I love tuning into my chakras. I like the silent mind meditation, one of the most profound meditations I know of, going into the depth of silence. And I also love playing my didge and getting into my didgeridoo meditations as well. So many forms of meditation. But my question for you is, are you meditating daily? Do you have your daily meditation set? And if not, why not? So I would suggest to get your meditation happening for yourself. Get clear on what it is, when you're going to do it, and how long you're going to do it for, and then just do it every single day. Because meditation is a practice. It's all about practicing and practicing and practicing every single day. So still waiting, a little bit quiet here on the questions today. So let's see if we can encourage somebody to ask a question. So let me give a couple of topics out there. So do you have any questions on spirituality? Do you have any questions on relationship? Do you have any more questions on vocation? Do you have any questions on mindset? Do you have any questions on health and well-being? And if you do, make your question precise, make it crystal clear. Remember, I'm not doing any psychic downloading today. This is just about getting clear for you so that you can be on track and stay on track and get even more out of your life. So if you do have a question, please just pop it on the screen there for me and I'll see if I can answer it. Otherwise, I'll fill that beautiful space again. Linda, meditation, what? What do you mean by that, Linda? Can you just get a bit more clarity on the question, please? That'd be lovely. Because if I see a question mark, it's usually a question. Can you please explain chanting and benefits? Yeah, Nettie, chanting's an interesting one. There's a couple of things with chanting. Chanting generally comes from the older traditions of coming out of one's body and being open to the spiritual connection by removing oneself out of the body by chanting. Because what happens when you chant, you tend to lose consciousness and lose the connection to the body and actually leave. And that's part of the, if you like, the old schooling of esoteric work. And what happened originally was the people that did the chanting were people who were initiated. They were initiated to a point where they would then chant. They would leave their bodies, they would connect to those spiritual realms, and they would then do the communication with whomever and whatever they were connecting to through their chanting. So they would leave their body. So it was a place of chanting for people who were initiated in that space. Because leaving one's body and going into that spiritual space can be a very dangerous thing to do. It's a bit like scuba diving without a scuba license or scuba training. So traditionally, anything like chanting or using bush medicine or anything like that was specifically for the initiates. You had to get to a certain place of initiation before we could do it. So now it's become quite commonplace to go and do these things, to go chanting. So people chant in groups, which is great. It's good fun, and people do get a sense of euphoria, and they get a sense of relaxation and sense of connection to something, and it's fun. So you can just chant. I can chant here and enjoy it and have fun. But if you want to go into the chanting space of connecting to spirit, then that's a guided process that takes generally many months or even years to prepare oneself to really lose oneself to go into that other realm. So it's a way of loosening oneself from the shackles of the body. That's what chanting from an esoteric perspective was and is. And people have different levels of the chant. You can do chanting in terms of call and response. You can go to a kirtan. I love kirtans. I go and play my didge there occasionally with people. I haven't done it for a while, but I used to a bit more. And go and do the call and response. And people would have the harmonium, and then we play a bit of didge, and that's fun. But if you want to go into the depth of chanting, I say traditionally it was for the people who had the experience of initiation to let go of the physical body. So that's so the benefits of it are you loosen the body, you get it out of the body, you relax, and you can, when trained, go into that spiritual space and connect up. So they're the benefits. So you can try chanting. You can listen to some chanting. I love some of my chant CDs I have, and I love going occasionally to do a bit of chant. But unless one really understands what one is chanting for and what the language is, whether it's something in Sanskrit, it's good to understand what it is you're chanting with and for. because if you lose your body and you go out into that space and you're not guided, or if you don't know where you're going, it's a little bit easier to get lost up in that expanse of spirit. And that's why I just want to come back to that little book a little bit, our spiritual companions, because each of the spiritual beings live in a certain plane spiritually, and there are many, many different planes. And I generally work with the 3 levels of hierarchy, and each one has a certain gateway or certain place where one can reach with your initiation process. So first initiate, it's usually into the angels and the archai, and then the next level is a bit higher into the thrones, and then the next level is up into the cherubims and Elohim and a bit higher. So depending where you go in the spiritual practice is what you'll reach. Now, if you get into some deep chanting for hours and hours and hours, you may bypass a level and go to a higher realm, and you may not be prepared, and you may see things and experience things that can actually blow your mind, because it's it's not for the uninitiated to go there. So I'm always a bit cautious of taking people on a bit of a chanting trip unless they're prepared for what they're actually doing. So I always caution people in spiritual work, because it can blow a few circuits out. I've met many people in my journey who've had their circuits blown because they weren't prepared for that journey. So a bit of a caution there as well. So I hope that answers the question, Nettie. If you have a deeper question, or if anybody else has a question around that, then please do ask. So Linda, being silly, don't meditate, need to find a method. Okay, so Linda, if you're not meditating, I'll suggest seriously, meditation is one of the most profound things that we can do in terms of our health and well-being and our quietness, quietening the mind, and just to tune into ourselves. And as I said before, the best way to find a meditation is to try a few and get one that suits you. And what I might do for a few minutes here, Linda, and for other people listening, is just take you through a quick 3 or 4 minute meditation, a really basic one that'll just give you a sense of relaxation. So it's not about going out into the spiritual world and connecting with other beings, and that's pretty high-end meditation, but just a basic relaxation meditation. I just want to teach you one of those for a moment, just for 2 or 3 minutes. What I'm going to get you to do, if you're comfortable, as long as you're not driving your car, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and just get your breath nice and regulated. And a great way to do that is to do a big sigh. Oh. Oh. And just become aware of your breathing. And just become aware of your feet, and your feet being on the ground. And then just curl your toes and tighten your toes. And tighten your ankles and your calves. Tight, screw them up. And just hold the energy. Hold them tight. Feel the tension. Feel the tension. And then just on the out breath, just releasing and letting go. Release and let go. Release and let go. Widening the toes, softening the toes. Relaxing. That's good. And then just bring your attention up to your calves and your thighs and your buttocks, and tighten them and squeeze them as tight as you can. Tighter. Holding. Holding the tension. Holding the tension. That's good. And then on an out breath, just simply letting go. Letting go. Letting go. That's good. And then bringing your attention to your back and your shoulders and your neck. And I want you to bring your shoulders up to your ears and bring your ears down to your shoulders. And pull in your shoulders nice and tight. Nice and tight. And bring your arms in nice and tight. Hold the tension. Hold the tension. Hold the tension. And then let go, letting go, letting go. Breathing out, letting go. Loosening the shoulders, loosening the back. That's good. And then bring your attention to your arms and your hands and your fists, and just tightening. You might want to tighten them across your chest, really tight, squeezing your thumbs and your fingers, holding the tension, holding the tension. Yeah, that's good, holding the tension. And then letting go, letting go, letting go. Letting your arms fall by your side. Letting your fingers open. Letting the energy flow to your fingertips. Yeah, that's good. And just sitting in your breathing. And just feeling the body relaxed. Yeah, that's good. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. So that was just a 2 or 3 minute meditation. That was an abbreviated version. You can go through the body a lot slower than that. But it's a great meditation. It's called the body relaxation meditation. Just to drop in and let go and let go and let go. It's a really good one. You can do it a bit more specifically on certain areas of your body. You can even screw your face up and then let go of the face and relax the face. So it's a really good one to do. And it's a good beginner's meditation. It's a good meditation just to drop into the relaxation space. And Ned has got a question. I've been listening to chants as I go about my day and chant along either quietly and in my mind. I find it good to releases all other thoughts, lock down and see what each one means. Generally, I do the connection to light or earth. Simple melodies. Yeah, and it's great. Just being in that melody, being in that space of singing along to chants is a lovely thing to do. And I also enjoy that. I've got a few CDs I love to chant along to and sing along to. And you can do it a bit loosely and a bit of gaiety, or you can drop right down into the deep meditation chants and just chant to oneself. You might want to find a tone. I love a toning, just to find one tone and just sit there and do the tone. I do that with my didge. I find the didge tone and I just do that tone. And you can just find it with your own voice. You can just find whatever tone comes to mind. You can just So toning is similar to chanting. There's a tendency to get a bit lightheaded and lose oneself, particularly if you continue for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes or an hour. So, be grounded around it and just get a sense of why you're doing it. I think it's always a good question. Why am I doing a particular thing? Am I trying to be connected? Am I trying to just empty my mind just so I'm not thinking of other things? Am I just trying to relax? So have the intention, set the intention for the meditation. That will be my advice to you. When my daughter hears it, she starts crying and doesn't know why. Yeah, look, chanting and toning, they, a bit like didgeridoing, when we send out a particular ripple of vibration, it affects people. It really does. So I remember many, many years ago, I was at a workshop we were doing, a didge and some toning workshop with a good friend of mine. And a friend of mine brought along her son, who was actually deaf and dumb, and it came along to the workshop, and you could see he was connecting into some of the vibrations because he was feeling the vibration, the resonance of the didge and the toning, and he was really happy in that space. It was really sending some good energy through him. So what we did some toning on him. So we came up close to his heart and his throat here, and we did some toning. Onto his larynx and around here in his body, and the connection he had to that, he was just beaming, was smiling because he was connecting, he was resonating with those sounds. And in his, he couldn't speak, but what he could do, he could make almost an internal sound that when you put your ear to his larynx, to his chest, you could hear the vibration as what he was bringing through his larynx, even though it wasn't coming out very verbally. It was an incredible experience. So yeah, sometimes toning and sounds and vibrations, they set something off within us, because it puts us in a certain harmony with somebody or something. So it's a very beautiful thing to do. Toning and harmonizing and chanting is a great vibrational medicine that we can start to learn. I love doing my didgeridoo vibrational healing and connection with people by playing the didge on the body. And oftentimes people do cry because it sets up a resonance within them of a frequency. And people don't know what quite that is and why they cry or why they get happy. But what we do then, we go in down the rabbit hole with them and we find out where it touched them in the body, what it was, and then we bring that to light so they can actually work on that emotion that may be a bit stuck in their being, or we just release it a little bit more. So it's a great tool, vibrational healing, chanting, toning, all that new way of being. Well, new for us, it's been around for, ancients for thousands of years. The Aboriginals have been using the didge for didge healing for tens of thousands of years, and the Vedas have been using it for tens of thousands of years too. It's just this new, what I call this new 20th or 21st century new age. We're just catching up with what the ancients have known for tens of thousands of years, and we're starting to bring it back because we have the consciousness now to do that. We got a bit stuck for a few hundred years, and now we're a few thousand years even, and now that consciousness is coming back, thankfully, and we're picking back up on that vibrational energy. So absolutely fantastic. So anything else, and any more sharings, any more questions, any more insights? Questions are good because it helps people to bring themselves back on track and stay on track in their lives. So if you've got any questions, please do ask. One thing I do like, I'm talking about that, it's funny, I actually got the bowl out this morning to put here because I thought vibration might come up for some reason. I must have been in tune, and using the singing bowl, Tibetan singing bowl. And this is beautiful in meditation too. So what we do, we set it up. Just following the sound. That's all one does with a Tibetan bowl. You just follow the sound into infinity. Follow, 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 and just sit with it and sit with it. It's just a beautiful meditation, and I love it. It's ancient, as I've been around for 10,000 years, and for the last 20 years, Tibetan bowls have come back into vogue after thousands and thousands of years. So many, many ways to tune into energy, frequencies, sounds, toning, vibrations, chanting. So it's a great topic, particularly with the didge. And what I might do just for a couple of seconds while I'm waiting for another question to pop up on the screen. So please do throw up a question. I do like my questions. I will just play a little bit of didge for you for a couple of minutes until a question pops up. So let's see where we go. So there we go, a little bit of didge for you. What I noticed, the circular breathing now, which is a technique for the didge, is to keep the breath going on the didgeridoo. It's very good for the breathing. It's really pretty amazing to keep going on that. So any other questions on there for this Life Mastery show? Because it's all about you. It's about supporting you, guiding you, inspiring you to get even more out of life. And a good way to do that sometimes is ask a question, particularly if there's some area in your life where you're feeling a bit stuck, where you'd like some guidance to break through and move on. Whether that's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, vocational, maybe in your relationship, it could be a question about sexuality, intimacy, or any other area of your life. So have a little bit of think and say, where am I not quite in tune in terms of my life right now? Maybe there's a question to be asked around that. So if there's anything, please just type it on the screen in front of you, and I will endeavour to guide you in that process. As I was saying to my wife, I was just putting some dinner on the pot just to slow cook while I'm doing the show here. And while I was in there, I was waiting for the kettle to boil as well. And I started doing a bit of moving and a bit of jogging, a bit of moving around. And we were joking because my wife, Eileen, she said, I do the same. I said, yeah, I don't really enjoy waiting. If I'm in a waiting space, I'll either close my eyes and meditate, or I'll do something to keep active, particularly if I'm in a supermarket or if I'm waiting for something, waiting for a train, waiting for a bus. I don't actually wait, because waiting can be frustrating. You know, if you're waiting in the supermarket, there's a frustration around waiting. So I try not to wait. I actually fill that space with something, either, you know, a meditation, a contemplation, or a doing process for myself. Because I said jokingly to my wife, you know, waiting is a bit of a waste. It's you know, why do you want to wait? You know, what's I waiting for? So I'm not going to wait for a question, and in that perspective. But if you'd like to fill the space with one, you can. But otherwise, I'll just keep filling the space with some insights and some sharings. And one of the things I'd like to share with you is if you jump onto my website, adrianhanks.com, and go into the shop, there's some free resources in there for you. And you can actually download a few resources. You can go to the media page and watch some of the things there, and get some insights from the videos and things. But in the shop, you can download some free booklets, a couple of videos, and also the free journal, the Where Am I Right Now journal, that helps people to stay on track. So the journal is designed for you to use every single day, and it's got the 10 different life aspects in there that you can use to ascertain where you are in life. So please go to that. You can also book in for your free 30-minute consultation with me by going to that Adrian Hanks website too, and just booking in a time with me. And we just jump onto Zoom and we spend 30 minutes ascertaining where you are right now and working out whether we're a good fit to actually work with each other, either directly or with one of my workshops or programs. I do have a few things coming up. I've got a mastermind program. It's a 12-month program. So this is for absolutely committed people who want to commit for 12 months in the mastermind principle, to really help themselves in that mastermind principle of working with other dedicated people in that space too. I'm currently running a program. We've been going for 8 months, and we have a great group of people being facilitated in that mastermind process, and we're doing some very deep work together. So that's one thing I do. I've also got my online program. It is a 12-week program where every week you get a downloaded video and some PDFs and some exercises and tasks to do to help you to bring yourself into alignment too. So if you want to do something over 12 weeks, you can sign up and do that online program. And if you want to do some one-on-one work with me in some capacity, you can also do that as well. So lots and lots of choices. And of course, I'm here every week on the Spirituality Show. Thanks to Sarah, amazing woman she is, bringing all this together and bringing people together to be on her program. And of course, I bring the Life Mastery program together every Thursday midday to fill that space. So it's lots and lots of things to connect to. So, hey, we have somebody up here with a question. I love my questions. Thank you, Lisa. I have a question, please. How do you get to the bottom of what might be causing some health conditions? Okay, Lisa, it's a really, really, really good question, because on some level, we all have health issues and conditions, whether that's physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. And it's about ascertaining how you get to that. So what I often say to people is do an inventory for yourself, like sit with yourself for a little while and just go through physically, through your whole body. You might even want to stand in front of a mirror. I know it's a bit confronting sometimes, and you may want to do that, dressed or naked, but really go through your whole body from top to bottom and go, right, where am I in a good space with my health? How's my skin? How's my internal? How's my organs? How am I feeling on the inside? Can I exercise without getting too exhausted? What am I eating? Am I eating healthily? So do a self-evaluation on yourself from the physical perspective, checking everything out. And then the emotional perspective. How am I emotionally? How do I relate to the world emotionally? Do I react a lot in relationships and with people around me? Am I anxious? And then go into the mental space. How am I mentally? How do I hold myself? And then also spiritually, I'm in a good spiritual condition. Have I got a spiritual path I'm following? And is that a healthy path for me? And then in relationship, how am I? So the first thing is a self-evaluation. If you want to go further than that, I would suggest, tune in and check in with somebody and maybe do some kinesiology or some energy work around where you are and checking that out as well. And if you want to do something with me, very happy. Let's book in for a 30-minute free consultation if you want to do some energy work more specifically. There's other people around. My wife Arlene is an amazing healer. She does some beautiful work with her life alignment work. So if you want to work specifically with a woman rather than with a man, I can highly recommend Arlene, and there's other people too. But do the first thing for yourself first is do the self-evaluation. And a good way to, I mentioned before, go to my website and get the journal. And then you can actually do that evaluation. There's 10 life aspects where you can ascertain where you are in each of those areas of your life. And then once you identify that something is not right, so you might say, well, right now my body, my breathing isn't good. So let's go down the rabbit hole. What's causing that? What's causing that breathing? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it mental? Is it spiritual? So we just keep honing in and honing in and honing in and honing in until we find the cause of whatever that symptom is. Yeah, because we all have a health issue or health condition of some sort. Occasionally I get a bit of a pop-up of a bit of cancer coming up in my body or something like that, from years out in the sun. So I go, okay, I'll check my body over. Actually, my wife does it for me. Oftentimes she go, right, she look at my body, go, right, what's that spot? What's that on there? And then go, okay, let's have a look at it. Let's not let it fester. Let's not get it to the point where it goes beyond healing. So we pinpoint it and we work on it there and then. So I've had a couple of little things I've had to work on over the years, and a couple of little spots have come up in my body, and I test them out. Is it cancerous? Is it not cancerous? Is it just a little lesion? What is it? Is it just a spot that's come up? And if it's something on there that's a bit sore, and I get a bit of black salve on there, or should I really say that? I'm not sure. Live, I don't care. I use black salve and put the black salve on that little spot on my body. And if it burns and if it starts to work, then I know it's a little bit cancerous. And I just do the work on it for a few weeks. I pull that little plug out and I move on, and I just keep checking it and working on it and healing it. It could be something else on the internal. If it's the breathing, it's like, what are you doing to help the breathing? Is it something that you're eating or doing, or is it a spiritual condition where you're locked in spiritually because you're not expanding vocationally, because that causes respiratory problems? It could be emotional, fear, or the posh word for fear, anxiety. I'd said to somebody the other day, anxiety is just a posh word for fear. People love to use a medical term for fear. It's all anxiety is. It's a fear of something. So if we're caught in anxiety, it means we're scared of something. We have a fear of something. So what do? We look at what that fear is. We name the fear, and then we work on the fear. And you might need to do some psychotherapeutic work around facing that fear and overcoming that fear and overcoming the anxiety. And a great way to get over anxiety is to learn to meditate. It's a key thing I teach to my students and my clients if they come to me with anxiety issues or fear issues. teach them to meditate. When you're feeling the fear, meditate. Feeling the fear, meditate. I remember many years ago I was out in the desert for a vision quest by myself for 5 days, and a lot of fear was coming up of things I was seeing, experiencing, and every time I felt the fear come up, I'd sit down in the sand, close my eyes, and drop into meditation for half an hour, regardless of what was around me, whether it was physical, spiritual, imaginary. It didn't matter. I just dropped into that space of meditation and dropped into my breathing to overcome the fear. So meditation's a great one. So I hope that answers the question a little bit, Lisa, for you. What might be causing some health issues or health conditions? Drop in and do a self-evaluation. If you want some support, go and see somebody who can do that. Whether that's if you've got a good doctor, maybe you want to go down that road of the doctor, the allopathic, you can. But if you want to go a bit more alternative, then seek an alternative healer out. And if you want to call me, I'm very happy to do that with you in a specific process as well. So whatever you choose, choose the right thing for yourself so that you can get to the bottom of whatever that health condition is for yourself. And if you want to elaborate on here, you can. If you want to be, remember this is public, but if you want to name it a little bit, we can go down the rabbit hole with you a little bit in terms of this too, because it also may help and support other people too with you asking those specific questions. So thank you for the question. So you can keep going on that question, or if anybody else has a question, then please do answer that question. Ask away. I love the top of the names on some of these things online. It says top fan. I really like that. It's like top fan of the show, or the top fan of Adrian's show. It makes me feel a bit like a superstar. So the ego really shines in this one. I quite like it that I've got my top fans coming onto the show. So well done to the top fans for coming on the show. It probably means you've been on here a few times if you're a top fan, and so well done for being in that space. I think it's really good to honor people who do things and support people. So I want to thank people for the support of coming onto the show, because without you, it would be just Adrian talking to a screen. So I really want to honor you and thank you for coming onto the show, particularly if you're coming on regularly each week as well. So that's good. And do please keep asking the questions to keep the show going as well. Otherwise, I can keep filling that space with different anecdotes and stories and different things too. So there's been some good questions in there today, and do keep them coming as well. One of the things I'll share with you, I might as well use this as a bit of a phone commercial or a live commercial in terms of a few of the things I'm doing, is particularly if you're around the Brisbane, Gold Coast, Tweed region, if you're listening in. I know there's people from all over Australia listening. I even get my overseas listeners coming in sometimes as well, from different places, from the UK, from America. And at the end of the week, when I check to see how many people have actually watched the show, I think last week's show got watched by 600 people. So although there are not many people on live sometimes, by the end of the week, there's 400, 500, 600, 700. I think we got to 1,500 people one week of people watching the show. And but just for those people who are local, who want to tune in a little bit in terms of one aspect of life, and one aspect of our life to get into alignment is the wealth side, the abundance side of wealth and money. And it's something I've been doing for myself for the last 12 months. I've been studying and buying financial education and studying with my financial coach, and even traveling overseas to be with him and a team of people to get a deeper understanding of where I'm a bit blocked in my wealth creation and where I can flow in that wealth creation. And something that's happening here on the Gold Coast on Sunday down at the Mercure Resort down on the Gold Coast is the regional conference for SWIG, which is the Skyway Invest Group, which I'm part of. And what we do, we raise funds for global projects. And one of the global projects we have going, let me just jump in and grab this. Our biggest global project at the moment, we've just raised $150 million for, is Skyway Technology with this amazing transport systems. And I've actually been across to Belarus a couple of times and ridden in that transport system. And we do have a regional conference between 9 o'clock and 4 o'clock on Sunday, and I will be there. So if you want to get a bit of your financial aspect, on track and to stay on track, then please PM me for some more information. I'll be very happy to meet you down there and come and sit with Adrian for a few hours in a free regional conference. PM me and I'll get you all booked up for that. And because one aspect of life is the finance and the wealth creation, and a lot of people, particularly around this spiritual community, wealth seems to be a disconnect to the spiritual component. For me, it's one and the same, because when we're in alignment with our abundance in finance, we're also in alignment with abundance in other areas of life, and we can do so much more when we have financial abundance. We can help many others. We can do more creative things for ourselves and for others. So if that's an area of that you'd like to get together, you can come and join me on Sunday between 9 and 4 o'clock on the Gold Coast at the SWIG Regional Conference for the Skyway Invest Group. It'll be a fun day with lots of presentations. You'll learn lots of things, and you can then come and join my Skyway team if you'd like to. So I've got a question on here. I often speak out without thinking of the consequences and regret it later, which then makes me feel I need to silence myself. Do I forgive myself and release the anger in my loud spouse? So, Katie, what an amazing, great question. Thank you for your vulnerability in that, putting that out on the screen, because a lot of what we do in terms of our communication is unconscious communication. So about what I teach is that conscious communication, because oftentimes when we speak without thinking, it's because we're speaking in reaction to something rather than in response to something. And we may blurt something out because we're in a reaction to something and we're not connected to that topic or that person or that situation. So it's about how do we become more conscious in that moment is the question. So first step is being conscious of it. So then we're conscious of what actually does come out. And sometimes I say things when I'm in an unconscious space and afterwards I go, and then, yes, I can feel a little bit shamed or angry or whatever emotion comes up because I've said something out of context or that may hurt somebody. But the more conscious you are, the more you learn about conscious communication, the less often it happens, very seriously. So, Katie, it's about learning to be conscious about being in the moment. And I talk about when we're with somebody, learning about the sympathy and the antipathy of the connection to somebody or the situation, and being present with self in that situation, about what I'm hearing, so that I'm not triggered by what I'm hearing. So I'm going to react back, because that's when I get angry with myself or want to forgive myself for something I've said or done. So yeah, forgiveness is a great thing. Yeah, so get into that space. Just forgive yourself straight away. Whoa, okay, let it go. I'm not going to carry the guilt, because guilt's a killer. Yep. So I think there's a saying, isn't there? Oh Lord, please help me to keep my mouth shut until I know what I'm talking about. So that's something to think about. Do you know what you're speaking about before you speak? Yet if not, become conscious of it. What am I engaged in here? What communication am I in here? Am I present here? Is the person triggering me? So our first thing is about not so much about what's coming out, but about where you are in the process. Where am I right now? Oh, I think that'll be a really good title for a book. Where am I right now? So where am I right now in the communication and the conversation? And learning about that connection, about the response process rather than the reaction process, and learning not to be in fight or flight or freeze, which are the three common traits of what we do when we're in a situation we're not comfortable in. We fight, or we freeze, but it's about being present in there and not running and not fighting or not freezing, but being present and then responding to that from a conscious perspective. And that takes practice. Lots of practice, every day, daily practice for years and years and years until you're more solid in that communication process. Yep. So go and forgive yourself. Let go of your anger. Don't get caught up in the guilt. But know that you're going to be a student of conscious communication. And if you want some support on that, Katie, or if anybody else wants support in anything, and you want to spend half an hour with me, please go to my website, adrianhanks.com, and book in for a free 30-minute consultation. We'll see what we can do, and we'll also see if we're a fit for further work together, either connecting individually, one-on-one, or whether you want to do a program with me, with a group, or do some online work. But that free 30-minute consultation is there for you. And if you want a bit of support, Katie, on bringing yourself into that place and going down the rabbit hole a bit to find out what that is, very happy to do that with you or anybody else listening and watching in. So, hey, Gayleen, hi to you too. And I'm just going to have a bit of a tune-in check-in. Yeah, we've got about 5 or 6 minutes left of the show because I lock out at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm only here for an hour on the show. So if you do have a final question, or if there's something that you want some insight into or some answer to, then this is the time to ask it now in the next 5 minutes of the show. So Katie, I hope that helps you. And so if you want to go a bit further with that, do contact me. But it is about that conscious sense of space and self when you're in communication. So many rabbit holes to go down there, aren't there? You know, once we open a topic, it's incredible how we can go down. I was writing for Sharon for the Global Healing Exchange magazine that comes out every month. By the way, if you're not on that yet, go onto my website and have a look at some of the interviews I've done with Sharon, and on the media page, and you can connect up to the Global Healing Exchange. And I wrote an article, and once I start writing an article, I realize I can write a book on an article, because once we open the doorway and we go down that rabbit hole, we can just talk about a topic forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, because most topics are never ending. So yeah, awesome. Thanks. Yep. Thank you, Katie, for filling the space and asking a question too, because this show would not be the same without people asking questions. So I really want to honor and thank you for asking a question today. Thirsty work, all this Life Mastery show work. It's it's really fulfilling. I really love it. I really love it. I love the energy of sharing with people. So thank you. I have stressful family issues at the moment. How do I protect myself? So Gayleen, great question. How do you protect yourself? You bring yourself into your being and you find a healthy boundary. Sometimes the healthy boundary is the no. Sometimes a healthy boundary is the response. Sometimes a healthy boundary is not to be there at all. My martial arts teacher used to say to me, Adrian, the best form of defense sometimes is not to be there. Which is great if you're doing martial arts, because you don't always have to have a fight when you're in martial arts. It's learning the subtle art of not being there, walking away. So sometimes it's about saying no. Sometimes it's about speaking one's truth. Sometimes it's about saying to somebody, please stop. I'm not engaging in that conversation. Yeah. Working out what the stress is for you. Getting clear on what is the stress. Can you name the stress? We all have stress in our families. You know, there are stressful situations, stressful people, stressful moments. But get clear on what is creating the stress for you. Get clear on that. Is it a particular person, a particular situation? And then protecting yourself is about that boundary. Healthy boundaries. So important. Creating that healthy boundary. So sometimes that's about saying no. Sometimes it's about engaging back and not having the fear of speaking to somebody, saying to somebody, you know what? Stop. I've heard enough. Or this is my response to that. This is my side of the story to that. So you have to find your power within to become strong in stressful situations with families. Yes, walk away, too much negativity, mother's will, brother's greedy. Yep. So you have to find a way. How do you, if you choose to, if you want to heal something in the relationship, how do you choose to heal that with them? Is it a case of finding a time to speak to them directly, or is it time to actually disengage? And you're the only one to make that decision. But what I'll say to you, Gayleen, is if you do choose not to be there, don't do it in a running away way. Do it in a conscious not being there way. Because if you get into flight mode, if you walk away out of fear or something like that, that's not healthy for you. But if you walk away consciously and say, I'm not engaging because it's not healthy for me, that's very different than running away. Very, very different than fleeing. So get clear on each situation. You might want to even write all the situations down, what the person is, how you might better heal that situation. Do you need to speak with them, engage with them? Do you need a third party to come in and mediate? Mediation is a great form of taking away conflict. I love mediation work. I do it often with people. So you have to find out what each situation is. Spend some time with yourself, Galen. Write it down, get clear on it. I'm a power of attorney, mother, being influenced, all very negative from both. Yep. So if you've been made the power of attorney, it's for a reason. You have to hold that space. And obviously, power of attorney is an interesting one, because often people get in that space of, when mother passes, am I going to get something? Who's in the will? Who's not going to be in the will? All that family arguments can come into play because somebody's not getting something, somebody deserves more. So sometimes that needs mediating, getting the round table happening, bringing everybody in and sitting there and giving everybody opportunity to speak. And it can be tense, I know, but sometimes it's better to do it now rather than later. I've heard so many stories, I've been involved with so many people in that space from the power of attorney and the will and the passing over the threshold, and then what happens to the family afterwards. So it's good to get clear on it now, Galen, I'd suggest. What do you need to do now to empower yourself and to find that boundary and to work with people now? Not sure of the full situation, obviously, but that might be a way forward, is to get clear now on what needs to be done in the very near future. So I hope that helps you a little bit. If you want to engage a little bit more, please do contact me and we can go a bit further. So look, I realise it's 1 o'clock, how quick this 1 hour goes. I love this show. I love it. I want to thank you all for engaging and being here, and particularly asking your questions. It what really is what makes the show. And I'm going to say blessings to you. Don't forget, go to adrianhanks.com website, and do please engage with me on Facebook if you choose to as well. So you're going to have a beautiful day, and talk to you again next week at midday on the Life Mastery Show. And thank you, Galen. See you.